Good morning, everybody. My name is Atul Krishnadas. I am going to be your host for today. Hare Krishna. Today, we have Krsnacandra Dasa with us, and he's going to be sharing some wisdom from the Bhagavad Gita. In previous verses, we've been talking about the nature of the soul, and that we are not this body, being and having awareness about the finite time that we have here, and having the comfort of knowing that we are not limited by the time that we have in this physical body. Now, today, we're going to talk a little bit more into detail about this nature of the soul and what we are and what we are not in this physical body. Again, welcome everybody to Ashram Talks. Thank you for being here so early in the morning. And remember that you can always catch us every Monday at 7:30 p.m. and at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please, Nashandra, can go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for having me, Atul Krishna Prabhu. It's a pleasure, as always, to be on this program. I'm very eager to proceed and to read the verses and to impart whatever I know to everyone watching. We're going to start with Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 29. Ashcharyavat pashyati kaschitenam Ashcharyavat vadati tadaiva chanyaha Ashcharyavat chainamanya shrunoti Shrutvapi enam vedana chaiva kaschit. Some look on the soul as amazing. Some describe him as amazing. And some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. And we will also be covering chapter 2, verse 30 on our program this morning. Dehi nityam avadyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam shochitum arhasi. O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body is eternal and can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any creature. And so, without further ado, I would like to invoke the Mangala Charn to sanctify our talk this morning. It's a series of mantras. That is the prayer that we invoke before having a spiritual talk. Om Anjana Timidhandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshudun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stvapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sahadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasti Eva, Nasti Eva, Gatir Anyata. And as we begin speaking about topics of the Bhagavad Gita, we often have another mantra that we invoke, which I will speak now. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So to recap, we're speaking about Bhagavad Gita, verses 29 through 30 in chapter 2. In the minutes before the battle of Kurukshetra began, Arjuna faced a dilemma. Should he give in to his despondency or embrace his dharma as a warrior? Though Krishna was always ready to guide Arjuna. In chapter 2, verse 7, Arjuna finally surrendered and accepted Krishna as his spiritual master. From that point onward, the instruction of the Gita truly began, and one of the first subjects Krishna teaches Arjuna is the nature of the soul. The soul is truly astonishing. In verse 29, Krishna describes the soul as Ascharya Vat, a wonder. Some behold the soul as wonderful. Some describe it as wonderful. Some hear of it as wonderful, but very few truly understand it. And Srila Prabhupada comments in his purport, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder of the worldwide Hare Krishna movement, he said in his purport that the fact that the atomic soul is within the body of a gigantic animal, in the body of a gigantic banyan tree, and also in the microbic germs, millions and billions of which occupy only an inch of space, is truly very amazing. And this amazement is best remembered in Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, verse 18, where Krishna says, Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmane Gavi Hastini Suni Chaiva Svapakecha Pandita Samadarshinaha. The humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater, or otherwise known as outcast. Why does the sage see equally? It's because he sees beyond the temporary covering of the body. There is no human soul or elephant soul or cow soul. Soul is soul. And it's all it is, I think it was likened many times to, it's like we're changing our clothes. Like, for example, I work for the Postal Service, so I have a uniform when I deliver the mail. And then when I don't do that anymore, I take off the uniform and I put on other clothes like what you see me wearing now. Or for a festival, I might wear Indian devotional clothing like dhoti and kurta. So these external trappings that you see, those are really, they're an outward manifestation of the karma that we reaped for ourselves. And while we're in the chain of samsara, we will always have a different external representation. But deep down, our ultimate self does not change. And yet, despite the uniformity of the soul remaining the same throughout all these changes, because there are 8 6.4 billion species of life, the soul is astonishing, beyond simple comprehension. The verse itself shows four responses. Some behold the soul, some describe it, some hear it, and some fail to grasp it at all. There's no understanding whatsoever. And earlier in chapter 4, Krishna says that he instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivasvan, who passed it on to Manu and then to Ikshvaku. But Krishna says in the course of time, this disciplic succession was broken and the science appeared lost. This illustrates that even though the soul may seem simple to understand, in truth, it is easily misunderstood or forgotten, necessitating its reestablishment through the dialogue of the Bhagavad Gita. So, it's even memorialized that there was previously a disciplic succession, and then that disciplic succession was lost. And it's when we think about it, it's amazing because when we read the Bhagavad Gita multiple times, the concepts I find, once we familiarize ourselves with them, they're actually simple. But to actually realize it, to actually live through it, and for example, I hadn't planned on even quoting this, but Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, verse 14, it talks about the regarding the pleasures and the difficulties in life, to regard those just as passing seasons, just like, okay, this is just the nature of life. Let's not become bewildered by them. Um, it it's not truly easy to live by that, but it is what we're taught to embrace, and it can be done. It's just it requires some perseverance. So back to the original topic: why then is the soul so astonishing? And there's a great teacher named Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who appeared just before the year 1500. And at the time, there was so much, I guess, positive upheaval in the world. There was the Reformation. There was, the coming of the Europeans to the free world. But ultimately, the greatest of all was the fact that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually Lord Krishna, and he came to West Bengal, India, and he came to distribute many important truths, but the most important thing of all is he came to distribute love through the Mahamantra, through the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And he revealed, among other things, among many other things, he revealed a deep secret to Sanatan Goswami. Jivera Svarupa Hoy Krishnera Nityadasa. The constitutional nature of the living entity is to be an eternal servant of Krishna. This is in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 2, verse 108. And this, Mahaprabhu explains, is the real wonder of the soul. We're neither this body nor the subtle mind. We are eternal sparks of spirit, simultaneously one and different from Krishna. Just as a particle of sunshine is one, yet distinct from the sun. And this truth is called Achintya Beta Abheda Tattva, the inconceivable simultaneous oneness and difference between the soul and the Lord. So, the greatest tragedy is that under the influence of Maya, we forget this eternal identity. And the greatest wonder is that through the mercy of the devotees and by bhakti, we can remember that again. It's not just a simple matter of just reading these words on a page. It's through the practice of bhakti yoga. When we practice that, we will have a true realization, and we will ultimately put it to practice. We can live knowing exactly who we are, that we are spirit soul, and that we are Krishnera Nityadas. We are the eternal servants of Krishna. So the teaching appears again and again in Shastra. It's not merely in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 2, verse 37, we see that fear arises when a living entity misidentifies himself as the material body because of absorption in the external energy of the Lord. Forgetting his constitutional position as the servant of Krishna, he becomes bewildered by Maya. Therefore, an intelligent person should engage in pure devotional service under the guide of a bona fide spiritual master. And actually, Bhagavad Gita, I believe it's chapter 4, verse 34, it does encourage us to seek the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, which we know otherwise as guru. This is important because actually I'll introduce another quote out of so many. It's Madhya Lila, verse chapter 22, verse 54, if I'm not mistaken, which is Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Koi, Lava Matra, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. One moments of association with a pure devotee we will gain all success. And that moment, according to the definition, lava matra is 1/11 of a second. So when we meet such a spiritual master, a bona fide spiritual master, a pure devotee, the effects are instantaneous. It doesn't mean we're necessarily guaranteed to become liberated or to become completely realized in that moment, but that's when the journey begins. I mean, we see this with Arjuna himself. He met Krishna. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Yet he did have to go through that process of inquiry in the Bhagavad Gita. So it wasn't simply "I surrender to you" in chapter 2, verse 7. He had to actually he had to ask a lot of questions, and he had to absorb everything. And he even asked Krishna in chapter 11, I believe, if to show his true form, so that, and when he saw that true form, he was in complete awe. So it is a process, and it's one in which we have to we really just have to hang in there ultimately, and then we can truly understand our role. And it's through the embracing of the higher taste that that's when we become detached with the external energy of this material world. It's once we have the attachment to Krishna, then we detach ourselves from the external illusory energy, and then we truly understand that we're just simply going through the motions. We're going from life to life, and we're just we're it's those manifestations that we assume are temporary manifestations. I also want to invoke Bhagavad Gita chapter 15, verse 7. Mamai vamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts, but due to this conditioned life, they are struggling hard with the six senses, including the mind. So, thus, the soul is astonishing, not only because it can't be cut, burned, or destroyed, but because it is eternally a part of Krishna, meant for loving service. So, I mean, we are ultimately the eternal fragmental parts of Krishna, and it is through this material world, the illusory energy, that we, as these infinitesimally fragmental parts, this is where we struggle, and it is through attachment to the Supreme Lord that we regain our true bearings, that we see ourselves. It's like being lost in a storm. We could, I know, in the before the days of airplanes and GPS, people navigated through the stars and on boats, and if it was a cloudy day, perhaps you couldn't see the stars, or if it was a stormy night, that would be much worse. It's very difficult to navigate successfully, much less survive something like that. So we end up in these storms. Like the clouds in this case represent our bewilderment and our ignorance, and the storms represent many of the trials that we endure in this material world. Because when we're young, we think we know everything. We believe that we're going to have this beautiful life. We have everything planned out, but ultimately, a lot of things happen. A lot of catastrophic things can happen, and when these things happen, we actually we kind of can run contrary to our plans, or we kind of, let's say, get into survival mode, and we put our plans aside. And so this is, ultimately, we have to, when we are introduced to the path of Sanatana Dharma through the Bhagavad Gita, we do have this liberation already of knowing where we should go, where our true path is. And when we meet a sadhu, when we meet like a pure devotee of Krishna, it's at that point where we really do have no doubt this is the path, because you see somebody so pure and so inspiring with so much love that it's such a person's very rare. I mean, I've seen this in the case of my own spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Maharaj. When I first met him, I had no doubts at that point. It was not an easy path. I have to admit, it was kind of alien from what I was accustomed to, growing up with both Catholic and Muslim background. But I actually, it was ultimately, that's what has brought me true perseverance. So I want to move on. I want to speak about what the acharyas in our Guru Varg, they often explain the jiva's nature with a simple metaphor. The soul is like a tiny spark from blazing fire. By nature, that spark is fiery. It has light and heat. But if it drifts away from the fire, it quickly cools and becomes covered with ash. And in the same way, we are the astonishing fragments of Krishna. Our brilliance is revealed only when we connect to him in devotion. Disconnected, we can appear ordinary or even lifeless, and reconnected through bhakti, we shine again in our true glory. I mean, like in our material life, we can perhaps become enamored with famous people, famous musicians or actors, models or politicians, or very, very wealthy people, tycoons and philanthropists. But all these things are temporary. We've seen this. We've seen like musician and actor careers crash. We've seen wealthy people lose all their money. But when we, it's actually when we see the pure devotees of the Lord, they they actually become sweeter over time. Even when they become quite elderly, they just become sweeter and sweeter. And their example becomes even more irresistible to follow. And I saw this again with my Guru Maharaj. When I first met him, I was maybe like 21, 22 years old, and he was about 90 years old. And he was very sweet, very loving, but at the same time, very quite driven, had so much energy, gave lectures twice a day, and just connected with people in just such a meaningful and loving manner. So um, it's when we dedicate our lives to the service of Krishna that is when we truly shine, and that we can realize our true constitution in life is the eternal servants of Krishna. And I would just want to talk a little bit about chapter 2, verse 30 as well. Dehi nityam avadyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam shochichum arhasi. O descendant of Bharata, the soul dwelling in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you should not grieve for any living being. And here, Krishna is preparing Arjuna to rise above bodily identification. Death is not the end. It's the real self remains. You know, we're the same soul in the end, as I said earlier in the lecture. And in our Guru Varg, in our Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, the only true grief is to forget Krishna. It's not the loss of the material body. And one of our gurus, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's the father of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, who is the guru of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the head of the Hare Krishna movement. And Bhaktisiddhanta is also the guru of my Guru Maharaj. He explains in, what do you call it, in Sharanagati, Miche Mayar Bose, Jacho Beshe, Kacho Hadudu Bupai. O brother, carried away by the waves of illusion, you are floating and sinking, sometimes up, sometimes down. And this is our condition when disconnected from Krishna, floating and sinking in the ocean of Maya. We forget our brilliance as his eternal servants. But when we reconnect through bhakti, the spark catches fire again and the soul's true wonder is revealed. So, what does this mean for us today? It means we should not judge others by the body, not by race or gender, education, wealth, or social standing. The real equality is the soul. And the real astonishment is that anyone from any background can awaken love for Krishna by chanting his holy names. When we see ourselves and others as eternal servants of Krishna, life's difficulties, even death itself, they all lose their power to shake us. And as the Gita tells us, the soul cannot be slain. And as Mahaprabhu tells us, the soul is eternally a servant of Krishna. And as Bhaktivinoda Thakur reminds us, the soul regains its brilliance by surrendering through bhakti. And the real wonder then, it's not just that the soul survives death. The real wonder is that in this very life, through bhakti, the eternal servant of Krishna can awaken and rediscover its natural love. That awakening is the true victory of the soul. So we don't want to lament like Arjuna did, like in the very beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. I guess I'm speaking about, let's say, chapter 1, like maybe verse 30 or 31, where he loosened his grip on his bow. We want to ultimately rejoice in the astonishing truth and connect ourselves to the fire of Krishna. And it's through japa and it's through kirtan. It's through the congressional chanting of the holy names, and it's through the chanting alone through the japa meditation of his holy names in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you all very much. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. I'm very honored to be part of this program once again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Krishna Chandra, for sharing your wisdom with us today.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So we remember this morning that we are an eternal soul,
Mhm.
and that through chanting the holy names, we remember the essence of who we are, which is truly important in every single day. We should chant these names in order to remember our essence and to prioritize what is truly important and not let us forget uh, this because of Maya in our day to day. Do you have any other advice of something else we could do day to day to kind of remember our essence as an eternal soul and not just this body?
That's a very good question. I appreciate you asking that, Prabhu. Actually, it's ultimately, I mean, the bottom line is, everyone came to this, everyone's watching this right now because somewhere down the line they got some kind of inspiration. Either they were, either their parents are devotees, or perhaps what they call Hindus, practitioners of Sanatan Dharma on some level, or somewhere down the line they saw kirtan, or they um, had prashadam, the sanctified food, or they met devotees and were very attracted to them. I mean, there are many ways that people initially get, they become interested in this, in what we're talking about. So, actually, what we should be doing, we need to ultimately kind of know what really is attracting us. We have to find, for instance, I think we all have some inclinations. Like, some of us like to sing kirtan, maybe some of us like to cook, some of us want to maybe travel with devotees, or they want to go to the holy dhams like Vrindavan or Puri or Mayapur. I mean, there are a lot of different things that we can do to kind of engage ourselves. And when we actually, we have to really just, we have to entertain these desires, anything that's related to Krishna, like chanting, being with devotees, reading the books. I mean, the books, they're so fantastic. I remember the first time I read Mahabharata, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. Like, as a child, I mean, I know this kind of sounds ridiculous, but when I was a child, I read Lord of the Rings, and I said to myself, Mahabharata is like a million times better than Lord of the Rings. It's just like why would anyone want to read anything else? It was so captivating to me. So actually, we have to find these things, and we have to, I think, let's say our senses become very transfixed upon Krishna or his devotees, or the literature, or our or chanting the holy name. Like, some devotees, they like to sing, they like to learn instruments like the mridanga or the harmonium. These desires should be very much encouraged. This is not about like detaching ourselves, or living like, let's say, these monks that are just so I can't really think of, like, antiseptic. We don't want to be like these people just thinking about detachment. We have to think about attachment, and we have to know, where does our heart lie, where is our attachment, and just keep doing that. And even if, like, we're still kind of into materialistic things, let's say we like to watch TV, or we like to watch movies, or we like popular music, I think, we can still, we don't want to like go cold turkey on those things, but at the same time, we have to start giving priority to everything Krishna related. And then it's a natural process. It just comes from there.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Of course.
And thank you, everybody, that joined us live today. And remember that we are available every Monday at 7:30 p.m. and every Thursday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please, if you have any questions, comments, or you would like to go further into any of these topics, you can leave a comment and we will gladly um, answer any questions that you may have. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hare Krishna.